Reeve.
Series held. Pull up, she's fouled.
Okay, so a foul was called, and you see Olivia Miles jumping up and down, showing the emotion. Hey, that wasn't a foul. Review that. Let's go. Let's go. I'm not going for it. I'm mad. Pay attention.
Emphatically wants to rebuke you.
Not at all happy about
That right there is Olivia Miles, 22 years old, rookie point guard in Minnesota. And what you just watched is a head coach, Cheryl Reeve, letting her young star show emotion, get angry at a referee, and walk off the floor with her dignity intact. Now compare that to what happens in Indianapolis every single night. Because the head coach of the Indiana Fever, Stephanie White, does the exact opposite. She sends assistant coaches running across the floor to grab Caitlin Clark by the arm like she's a child in a grocery store. She lets her bench yell at her superstar in front of 40,000 people. And she does it while she's running the most disrespected franchise point guard in basketball. Here's the thing. Stephanie White is now being publicly schooled by a rival head coach on how to treat a franchise point guard. And tonight, I'm going to show you the proof. Stay with me.
Sending your assistants over there to grab her up, pick her up off of her feet, and all of this stuff. Pay attention, Stephanie White.
Coach Reeve is going to bring it. And Olivia hoping for some vindication here. She is so competitive. She is so passionate. She's talking to Coach Reeve. Thanks for having my back.
Thank you, allowing me.
You see that? You see that? That is how you are supposed to handle it, Stephanie White. Not sending your goon squad.
She is so competitive. She is so passionate. That's Cheryl Reeve talking about Olivia Miles, a rookie. A first-year player who just stomped her feet at a referee. And what does her head coach do? She defends her. She praises her. She tells the whole basketball world this kid's competitive fire is a feature, not a problem. Now I want you to ask yourself one question. When was the last time Stephanie White stood at a podium and said those words about Caitlin Clark? When was the last time she said Caitlin is so competitive, so passionate, that's what makes her great? Mark it down, it hasn't happened, not once this season. Not after the Connecticut game. Not after the Phoenix game. Not after the Las Vegas blowout. Not once.
Hyping up the crowd. Okay. You know, we remember the situation where she's hyping up the crowd. You go, look at this. What are you doing? What are you, that's not how you handle it. We don't need you policing Caitlin Clark's emotions. Her emotions is a part of why she goes off and destroys a lot of these players. We don't need this. We don't need.
And there it is. There's the footage everybody in this league has seen. Caitlin Clark is hyping up the crowd in her own building, in her own arena, with her own fans on their feet. And her head coach's assistant is grabbing her like a security guard at a Walmart. Let me tell you something. You do not police your franchise player's emotion. You do not police the player putting 15,000 butts in seats every single night. You do not police the player who single-handedly cracked the WNBA's all-time viewing records last season. Her emotion is her game. It's the same emotion that drops 30 on you. The same emotion that hits the logo 3. The same emotion that built this league back from the dead in 2024. You don't kill that. You feed it. And Stephanie White is too small a coach to understand that.
Pay attention to how Cheryl Reeves talks about her young point guard.
Yeah, I think she just has a maturity about her, right? So pick and roll game is obviously a lot of the pro game.
Pick and roll game is obviously a big part of the pro game. Whoa. Cheryl Reeves is saying, hey, the pick and roll game is a big part of the pro game. You are trying to get rid of it. We have the best pick and roll tandem in the entire league in Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, the most unstoppable two-man game in the league.
Listen to that answer. Listen to it again. A reporter asks Cheryl Reeve about her young point guard, and she stays on topic. She talks about Olivia Miles. She praises Olivia Miles. She lifts up Olivia Miles. She does not deflect. She does not pivot to Courtney Williams. She does not shrug and mumble about pick-and-roll game plans. That is what a head coach is supposed to do. That is the job description. Lift up your franchise player publicly. Defend her with the media. Make sure every player in that locker room understands who this team belongs to. And what comes next is the moment that broke this whole thing wide open. Because the proof is about to get a whole lot worse for Stephanie White.
Yeah, I think she just has a maturity about her, right? So pick and roll game is obviously a lot of the pro game. But I think even more than that, I think some of the hardest things to teach players when they come into the league is about tempo and pace. So if you look at how she plays with tremendous tempo. She manipulates defenses with a slowdown, a speed up, a burst, and you don't know which one she's doing. She plays with her eyes well. So manipulating defenses is just something that's probably great at any level, but certainly I think it's allowed her to find the immediate success that she has.
That, right there, that is a head coach building her player up in front of the entire basketball world. Tremendous tempo, manipulates defenses, plays with her eyes, found immediate success. That is a public masterclass in how to talk about your young superstar. Delivered by Cheryl Reeve, head coach of the Minnesota Lynx, 4-time WNBA champion. Make no mistake, when Cheryl Reeve shields her rookie point guard from criticism, while Stephanie White sends her assistants to drag Caitlin Clark off the floor like the Undertaker pulling somebody out of a wrestling ring, that is a public indictment of the Fever's entire leadership group. That is the moment the rest of the league learned exactly what the Indiana front office allowed to happen to the most marketable athlete in women's basketball history. And every general manager, every owner, every agent representing a free agent considering Indianapolis in 2027, they all saw it. They are all taking notes. And I'll say it again, Stephanie White just got publicly schooled by a rival head coach on national television.
What is going to be an anticipated game, especially with the nonsense that Tiffany Hayes pulled after the game, getting caught on the hot mic, being a hater in the press conference. And mind you, she started all of this. She was the one yapping and chirping to start out this game. Couldn't take the heat, so she had to get up out the kitchen.
And then there's the Tiffany Hayes situation. Caught on a hot mic after the Golden State game, running her mouth about Caitlin Clark in the press conference. The same Tiffany Hayes who started the chirping in the first place. Couldn't take the heat, had to get out of the kitchen. Classless behavior from a 35-year-old veteran who should know better. But here's what tells you everything about how this league is run right now. Stephanie White had a chance to defend her superstar after that game. She had the microphone, she had the cameras, she had the moment. And she said nothing. Not one word standing up for Caitlin Clark. Not one word calling out Tiffany Hayes for the hot mic disrespect. Silence. Cowardly, calculated, professional silence.
If Stephanie White is able to make any adjustments, okay, I don't want to see them switching everything on these ball screens again like they did last game. I think that would be a great mistake defensively. And offensively, I believe that if we can implement a little more pick and roll and implement Aaliyah Boston on the post a little bit more. Okay, I get it, you don't want to post her up all game. But if we can implement it a little bit more, and if Stephanie White can do that
Now we're getting to the basketball side of this. Because not only is Stephanie White failing Caitlin Clark publicly, she is failing her on the floor too. Cheryl Reeve just said it. Pick and roll is the foundation of pro basketball. The most important action in the modern game. And what does Indiana have? They have the best pick and roll partnership in this entire league. Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. The most unstoppable two-player combination in the WNBA. A combination that put up wins all of 2024. A combination that ESPN highlighted 72 times last season. And Stephanie White has erased it, wiped it off the playbook, replaced it with what she calls a hub offense, which is just code for make Caitlin Clark stand in the corner. And because the real story isn't just what happened tonight, it's what this means for everything coming next.
Passionate. She's talking.
All right, you see that? You see that? You see how she didn't try to police her emotions and just take her heart and emotion out of the game? You see how she had let her come to the sideline? Hey, let's talk about it. You know, this is how you're supposed to handle things. Not sending your assistants over there to grab her up, pick her up off of her feet. And
watch that again. Pay attention to the body language. Olivia Miles walks back to her bench. Her coach meets her halfway. They have a conversation, like adults, like professionals, like teammates building something together. Now here's the historical context everybody needs to understand. This isn't the first time the WNBA establishment tried to mishandle a generational talent. Back in 1997, Cynthia Cooper had to fight through coaches and league offices that didn't know what to do with a superstar. Back in 2008, Candace Parker walked into a league that wasn't ready for her either. Back in 2016, Breanna Stewart had coaches who tried to micromanage her game. The pattern is clear. When a player threatens the existing power structure, the league closes ranks. We saw it then. We are seeing it now with Caitlin Clark. And the names change, but the script never does.
Y'all doing this. You see what I'm saying? That's not necessary, okay? That's not necessary, okay? Stephanie White, pay attention. Pay close attention. Cheryl Reeves is showing you how it's done. And the point guard she has isn't near the level of the...
And the insider voices are starting to speak up. Sue Bird talked about this exact dynamic on her podcast just 2 weeks ago. Rebecca Lobo addressed it on ESPN during the broadcast on Sunday night. Candace Parker brought it up on TNT during halftime of the Aces game. Becky Hammon has weighed in. Diana Taurasi has weighed in. When 5 Hall of Fame voices are publicly questioning how the Indiana Fever are managing Caitlin Clark, that tells you everything you need to know about how this looks from inside the basketball community. Let me tell you something. When the Hall of Famers are talking, the agents are listening. And here's the one thing nobody is talking about. The biggest consequence of all is still coming.
But Cheryl Reeves is handing out lessons, and specifically a lesson to Stephanie White into how to handle a young point guard and not drag them through the mud, try to stop their emotions, not want to talk about them in post-game interviews and things like that. Stephanie White, you did a good job after the last game. Congratulations. Maybe you've been paying attention to what this lady has been doing, and maybe...
Let's break this down from 4 angles. Angle 1, the front office angle. Stephanie White's mishandling of Clark is costing Indiana ticket sales every single home game. Angle 2, the locker room angle. Every player on that roster is now watching how the head coach treats the franchise player. They see it, they calculate it. Angle 3, the fan angle. The Caitlin Clark fan base, over 2 million strong on social media, is documenting every single slight. Angle 4, the league angle. WNBA front office is now being asked publicly why a 4-time championship coach has to give a tutorial on how to manage a young point guard. Same problem, 4 layers of damage, and every single one points back to one name, Stephanie White.
Off elsewhere, okay? Pay attention, Stephanie White. This is how it's done. And mind you, we are not super fond and friendly of Cheryl Reeve, but this is a real coach who's had real success that is showing you how to do this, son. I'm gonna show you how to do this, son. She's showing you.
So what does this mean going forward? 5 things. Number 1, every player on the Fever roster is now watching how Stephanie White treats Caitlin Clark, and they're filing it away. Number 2, every free agent considering Indianapolis in the 2027 offseason just got their answer, and the answer is no. Number 3, the WNBA front office is going to have to step in eventually because the optics are getting worse every week. Number 4, ESPN broadcast coverage is already shifting in tone, and the analyst commentary is getting sharper. Number 5, Caitlin Clark's agent at Excel Sports is in conversations right now about long-term franchise direction. And many of you in the comments have been saying exactly this for weeks. You were right. The fans saw what the media refused to acknowledge for half a season. You called Stephanie White out before anyone else did. You called the Fever front office out before anyone else. You called the league office out. And tonight, every single one of you got proven right one more time.
Way of Caitlin Clark on the offensive end, I believe the Indiana Fever should have great success in what will be a much anticipated game. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think. This Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share the channel.
So here's where we are. Cheryl Reeve, head coach of the Minnesota Lynx, just publicly demonstrated on national television exactly how a real head coach handles a young superstar point guard. She defended her. She praised her. She let her play with emotion. She built her up in front of the entire basketball world. And Stephanie White, she does the opposite. Every single night, she lets her assistants manhandle Caitlin Clark on the sideline. She erased the best pick-and-roll partnership in basketball. She stays silent when Tiffany Hayes runs her mouth. And tonight, she got a free lesson from a Hall of Fame coach, whether she wanted it or not. When a rival head coach has to give your head coach a public masterclass on respecting your franchise player, the writing is on the wall. The Indiana Fever have a coaching problem, and it has a name, Stephanie White. So I want to hear from you. Should Stephanie White be fired before the All-Star break, or does she get the rest of the season to prove she can change? Drop your verdict in the comments right now. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you never miss what's coming next. This is Keep the Vision. We out.